Hi, thanks for tuning in to the Ask Valor Masterminds podcast, brought to you by CR Gutters and A Advanced Septic Services. My name's Galen.
I'm Joe.
And we're coming at you from the BD Local Studios in Tacoma, Washington. Thanks for tuning in. Enjoy the podcast. Hi, everyone, and welcome to the Ask Valor Masterminds podcast, brought to you by A Advanced Septic Services and CR Gutters. My name is Galen.
I'm Joe.
We're coming at you from the BD Local Studios in Tacoma, Washington. So, Joe, for our new listeners and viewers tuning in, can you tell everyone how our podcast came to be?
Absolutely. So it first started off as a kind of a Facebook group page where we wanted to bring business owners together to kind of communicate with each other, ask questions, give answers, and just share tips about business in general. Being that we're in the marketing industry, we have a lot of other questions that we get asked. So we thought, what a better way than to bring different guest speakers on to talk about different topics, all as it relates to business. And a lot of the things that they talk about in business, you can actually relate to adapting in your personal life as well.
Awesome. Thank you. And Joe, can you do the honors of introducing a quick intro of our guest today, please?
Yes. So Chris Duffin is with a company called Kabuki Strength. His people reached out to our people, which is me and Galen, and said he would be a great guest to be on the show to talk about mindset. Being that we're in right now in 2021, moving forward, we got to get the 2020 mindset gone and in the 2020 mindset and just kind of adapting to and overcoming. So we thought, what a great guest to have on today.
Awesome. And not only Kabuki Strength, a couple other companies too, and also a best-selling author, but we're going to learn some mindset insight from the first person to squat and deadlift over 1,000 pounds for reps. So pretty
That's
cool.
nuts.
So Chris, thanks for joining us. So
yeah, thanks for having me on. Looking forward to chatting this morning.
I have
Awesome.
to say real quick, as I watch some of your stuff on your social media and I see the bars, has there ever been a point when someone is squatting where the bar breaks?
Yes, but typically they bend first. So
Okay.
there's stuff in metallurgy. The bar you definitely would want to bend, but if you have it as too hardened and embrittled, the bar could actually snap, which would be a manufacturing defect. So that actually is some of my background is engineering and metallurgy.
Oh, nice.
awesome. So our last episode, Joe, we had Jess Crow, so Q Image 1. So she kind of spoke on the topic, creating videos to help you achieve your business goals. So what was one of the main takeaways from Jess when we had her on?
Yeah, so she was a great guest. Not only did she talk about videos, but then she also talked about social media. But the biggest thing is just being consistent with your social media and your videos, and then just embracing being yourself. So don't be embarrassed of the videos that you shoot. Just kind of shoot the videos and then post them and then just worry about everything else.
Right. She was big on saying, don't compare yourself to others. Embrace your weird because you is you. So
Absolutely.
awesome. So Q Image 2, before we get started, Joe, can you give a little insight on our Valor Cares initiative, something we're really proud of?
Yeah, absolutely. So 2020 has been a struggle for a lot of businesses. And so we wanted to think of a way that we can give back to businesses locally here in Washington, but as well as nationwide. So we came up with our hashtag Valor Cares website build giveaway program to where businesses can go and apply and have a website built for free. So really any business qualifies. The only thing that really doesn't qualify at this point is anyone who sells a product online for a shopping cart. Just because those are massive websites to build, but pretty much anyone else, as long as they're able to, they have to pay for their monthly hosting and support with us. If they can do that, then they should go and apply, and we'd love to build more websites. We start out with one, and we're doing 4 a month now.
Right. So if you know a business, feel free to nominate them. We'll have info on our social channels. So now we come at the point of our podcast, our A Advanced Septic Pump You Up quote of the day. So we actually have two. So cue the first quote image. So this one's from Brian Tracy. Look for the good in every situation. Seek the valuable lesson in every setback. Look for the solution in every problem. Think and talk continually about your goals. So since today's about goals, and Chris, you talk about this in your book, kind of that self-realization, the discovery, if you're setting a goal and with your goal, hashtag grand goals, it just works along with what this quote is. So
Yeah, certainly does.
Awesome. And then our next quote from Chris himself from his book, The Eagle and the Dragon. Perseverance is action derived from a pure belief in your own strength, even in what seems like total defeat. So, Chris, can you just give some insight to our audience why that resonated with you, why that made the book, and why it's so powerful?
Yeah. So I think it would be good to talk a little bit about my early background as it relates to that and some of the things that that I've had to persevere through to be where I'm at. It's a lot of people may look at the accomplishments in business and athletics and some of those other arenas and not realize that, to get there, I grew up coming from a childhood growing up in the wilderness, and we're talking literally foraging for food, killing animals, catching grasshoppers so I could go fish in the stream, heating up water in the sun so you could bathe. And there's, from that environment and trying to work slowly through the years, you do have to have this this belief in yourself. And it's not like looking in the mirror and giving yourself a pep talk. You've got to deep down know that I have the strength to overcome and accomplish no matter what's in front of you. And even those failures that may happen, knowing that you can turn back around and make it. So, during that lifetime, during that period, in that environment, there was murderers, there was drug trafficking, drug abuse, alcohol abuse. There was a serial killer. There was human trafficking, like some really gnarly shit over the course of my life. And yeah, some setbacks, some bad things that have happened. But success doesn't happen just overnight. And so it's working through that, getting myself through school. I ended up working through a dual engineering degree and an MBA. And while the course of doing all that, I had to work full time because there was no fallback plan. There's nowhere else for me to go. And in fact, I actually had to take custody of my 3 younger sisters and raise all of them while I was doing that. And that certainly makes you grow up a little fast, but it also helps you understand some of those philosophies when people talk about burning bridges to be successful. You get to the point, you have to succeed. You're in this driven place. And so having that kind of mindset is a really powerful thing. And you can learn to flip those switches. You don't have to have the experiences that I have to do that, to realize whatever's happened to you, whatever your environment is, whatever the circumstances are, that is not a definition of yourself. Like, what defines you as a person is your actions and your responses to those. And that means every day you get to choose who you are and what steps you're taking, right? And so if you understand that philosophy, anyone can employ that. You don't have to have those. Those are definitely what taught me that and made me such a passionate person about these subjects, and understanding that, yeah, and if it does happen, you can use that as something to build yourself into a stronger person, actually, without conflict, without challenge, without any of those things. You actually don't have the opportunity to grow and become a more resilient version of yourself. If you're in business and you're trying to have a conflict-free workplace, you're probably going to fail in some manner, because that means you're just going to have yes people. You're going to have people that go with it, and you need people that are passionate enough to challenge and when they've got opinions on the different direction, or as long as you need people aligned with those common goals. But your inability to have and be able to manage conflict and conflict resolution, for example, I'm just using that as one example, means that you're going to get swiped out of the side someday in a few years in the advance. Maybe it's 10 years from now where that's going to happen, and you don't know how to handle it. So every time you encounter something, even those failures and things that come in your way, are opportunities. And to articulate that, I talk about, I'm a strength guy. I lift weights, right? If you go to the gym and, you do some curls, your arm gets what? Bigger and stronger.
Right.
You're more resilient. Obviously, if you do curls 7 hours a day, 7 days a week, that's too much stress. You're not going to be able. So there's some limit. Like I'm not just saying burn the candle at both ends and, always be chasing. But so it's like, you've got to have that balance. But if you don't, like if you break your arm and you put it in a cast, what happens?
Then the opposite, you have to recover.
Atrophy.
Right.
Atrophy happens. The process basically of death. So I put that out there to throw this out. This isn't a theoretical concept. This is human physiology on physical, mental, emotional things. If we don't have challenge, stress, something to adapt to in life, the process of living stops. The process of death starts. Like, so that old statement, better, what is it? You better get, busy living or busy dying. Like, if you're not, you're busy dying. I should have like memorized that or something. But anyway, that is actually the reality of things. So anyway, I think I answered your question and then I rambled for a bit, but
yeah, but perseverance, definitely.
Perseverance. Right. Yes.
Right. So Q image 6, now it comes to our segment, our CR Gutters Did You Know segment. Q image 6 now, it's characteristics of an entrepreneurial mindset. So Chris just spoke, answering that quote of some elements of that. So I found some things online. I'm going to read a couple things and then have the group just kind of, we'll discuss it a little bit. So Q image 7. So first thing, focus on providing value instead of creating wealth. I'll read these first 3 and then we could talk about them. Number 2 is long-term vision. And the third one is personal growth and understanding the world around you. So Chris and Joe, focus on providing value instead of creating wealth. When I read snippets of your book, I didn't read it all the way through, but you talk a lot about self-awareness and like being intentional. So when providing, you're not chasing the dollar. Mm-hmm. You were driven, Chris, to create your company, yourself through other things, right? Not just wealth.
I truly believe that successful businesses, or well, maybe not successful business. My view on business is that so many people are missing out by chasing the dollar and not realizing that being an owner, being an entrepreneur, being in those positions is the ultimate form of creativity and self-expression in the world today. It allows you to be able to create the environment and culture that you want to live, to create a company that embodies the values within itself and what it does in the world, like, and what you're trying to accomplish. I use in my book the word legacy a lot, but that may not connect with other people. It's really is that those concepts, though, that it allows you to be that and do that in every way. So there's so much more that you can get out of being in those positions and being a business. People think about this business as a dollar, but I think about being a businessman as being an adventurer, an explorer. We don't get to get on a ship and sail over and discover new lands today, but we get to explore the environment of the world in this manner and how we can affect it and how we can change it and how we can create the culture and environment around us and affect like the values and the way that we want to live and people that embody those same things. I mean, that, if you think about that, that's incredible. There really is, in my mind, no greater form of, I said it earlier, self-expression that I'm aware of. So it's just a fantastic thing and such a great opportunity if you use it in that manner. And the impact that you can have on both the individuals and society is just incredible. And we want to get there first. And you want to think of the financial side as, that's what you need to have to make this organism work. That's how you employ people. That's how you create and do things in the world or create content. That's the fluency of making these things happening, but it's not the goal.
Right.
And if you just have the dollar goal, there's so many different ways that you could go. Nothing's focused. Like, focus on what you want to accomplish first. So it's really important that you have to understand who you are, where you're going, like what your personal or your business North Star are.
So in 10 to 15 seconds, so long-term vision was on there. So long-term vision, your North Star. When an entrepreneurial mindset is long-term vision, how long-term is good? Am I thinking 1, 2 years ahead, or even grander goals of 5, 10 years down the road? Real quick.
I have the full next 10 years like mapped out in my mind, 5 of that on paper. But it's thinking in more 15, 20 years at least. And that is, I know that sounds out there and you can't predict the future that manner, but you should be able to have an idea of where society is moving, what big factors are moving, and how you're going to play a role in that. And what are some of the things that you want? Like for me, I want to reinvent this space of both training and its integration with clinical space, and remove these silos and create this more holistic, I hate the word holistic, but it really is what I'm trying to do, connectedness of that. And that's big. I have to reinvent things on on the clinical platform, in the education around that, in the training space, the gyms themselves. I have to invent equipment that doesn't exist yet. And I've been doing that. I have to build, there's so many pieces of that. And it's like, I'm my first 10-year plan. I'm 5 years into it. We're on course, and I have the next 5 years mapped out. So that was a 10-year, and I know where we're going to be 10, 15 years from there. And that means includes beyond my time. So I'm building the leaders that I have in my current business to be the ones that are taking that on and trying to set that up. So they're
That
the
legacy
ones
piece, right?
So that they're the ones that can continue that vision on into the future. And because that's how important it is to me. And anyway, that's,
But I think part
so
of
when
that,
we're talking long-term vision, it is something that a lot of leaders don't set aside the time to really think about. We think about this, couple years out there, this 2-3 years. We don't set aside the real time for that further, really theoretical creativity, like space to really map out. And if you do that, that starts creating a better guideline of where you're going and the steps you're taking today.
But I think like with setting up your long-term goals like that, you also then set up your mindset to get yourself there, but then you also set up smaller goals. So you achieve the smaller goals, which ultimately will help you achieve your larger goal.
Yes.
You're dead on, Joe. And that's the thing. To have success there, you need to make sure that all those little steps every day are the ones that are aligned and that are moving you and not misdirect. Because you could spend years heading down the wrong direction if you really don't understand, where do I really want to go? And so, like, my life, an example, is a map of, for me, of showing that how far you can take it. You can go from that to walking up and, becoming a sought after corporate executive, doing turnarounds and getting businesses sold. Unfortunately, it was around that time I went, wow, I've done everything that was the epitome of like being success in the world. And I went, that really wasn't it. I learned a lot of skills, but now I'm doing it. And
right.
And so, but it does show you, just like, that was my vision. And I went from this, poor kid in the woods, in a tent to being that, and, using that methodology. And now I'm using it again.
So cue image 7 again, last thing, and then we'll move forward. But personal growth and understanding the world around you, because I wanted to say this word because I had to look it up. But Chris, I want you to speak about it briefly. But Ouroboros. So
yes,
you're the tattoo that's on the book, the eagle taking flight, and you see the dragon, if you guys could see, maybe is eating its tail. Talk to us a little bit about that, because I found it very intriguing and it connected with me. So
yeah, the book is The Eagle and the Dragon, and it's an incredible story. And it's titled The Story of Strength and Reinvention. So the first half of the book is a tattoo that I had that was 40 hours. It covers one leg and comes up and covers my chest and back. And it's this 2 eagles trying to take flight, and they're shackled to my ankle. They can't really, they're trying to fly, but they can't. And it means you can fly to whatever heights you want in the world today. The only thing holding you back at the end of the day is yourself. And that first, I had this done at 20 years old, and it really came all the way through into my 30s of understanding your strengths and being able to realize them in the world today. Now, the tattoo I had done when I walked away from that, when I walked away from competitive lifting, when I changed major relationships in my life and basically started from scratch, literally. I mean, I ponied up my retirement, sold my homes, moved into an apartment. Like, I put everything on the line, going, this is where I'm going. And it is this tattoo I had done at that time, another 40 hours. It encircles my whole upper body. It's an Ouroboros. And it's this, it's in mine, it's a dragon, but oftentimes it's a snake, and it's eating itself. And that may sound a bit, gruesome, but it has many meanings, and the meanings are around the recreation of oneself, the ending of the old and beginning of the new, infinity. And for me, it really comes down to the reinvention or purposeful reinvention. So it is not only just discovering your strengths and what you're fully capable of, but specifically deciding who you want to be and becoming that version of yourself. So it is a very purposeful piece of that. And that is where I'm at and what I'm doing in my life. And so in my book, I don't tell anybody how to live. Mm-hmm. I don't espouse any morals or anything like that, but it's a bestseller in things around self-improvement and human psychology and things of that nature, because it's an autobiography, but it's not. It's written, it uses that as a story to espouse you towards this process of introspection and this process of finding and really understanding your own true values as an individual, so that you can from there start setting goals. People start this goal setting too early and they end up with bucket lists, which I think are crap. Like, there's no direction, there's no alignment. It's just like, what's fancy? Now, that can be a great place for asking questions to get to your values, but you really need to work through that process first, then set goals, and then you can start creating a life that will actualize it, that will be that will express those values. And man, that is a fantastic thing to achieve. You'll never actually achieve it. That's the beauty, that's the thing of having a North Star, but it's this perfect thing that you never quite achieve, but the process of getting closer and closer and closer is the beautiful thing.
The joy is in the journey, right?
That's right.
Not the destination. So cue image 8, wrapping up our CR Gutters Did You Know segment. So I'm just going to read these last 4 and we'll briefly get a thought from everyone. So Joe, you touched on this, but understanding the power of habits and small wins. So for a grander goal, you want to set attainable goals, time management and prioritization, balancing freedom and responsibility. And the last one is associating with the right people. So again, you touched this in your book, but just a couple thoughts from the panel here on some of those points. So.
Yeah.
So go ahead, Chris.
Go ahead, Joe.
I was gonna say, I like just associating the right people, because it's not about, what do they say? It's really about who you know in life to kind of help you. So I align myself with people that are like-minded like me, who are there really to help people. And as long as if I help enough people, then I'm going to get help myself. That's what comes to mind with associating with the right people.
Absolutely. So you're spot on. And it's, when you reflect back on what I was talking about earlier about this expression within the culture and environment, what is that? That's people, right? That's people that are trying to accomplish and believe in the same things. And that is, in my book, I call it's the rocket fuel that propels everything forward. And it is the greatest thing that you can have in life is those relationships. And so it's not what you're, this dollar figure you're trying to get, or this house or that. It's the people that are involved with you as you develop and work towards these things in life. And as a business, I have found that this is where the true magic happens. The true magic happens from finding those people that have that similar set of values, but there's the connectedness of the what you're trying to accomplish, and you start pulling together and you can create this synergy and change that you never thought possible. Like if you look at the advisory board on my business, people know me as a lifter, but don't really realize some of the back stuff. But like I've got on our advisory board, the world's leading spine biomechanist, the most well-known physical therapist in the world, the head strength coaches for teams like the LA Dodgers and the New York Yankees, arguably the best orthopedic surgeon and the best developmental kinesiologist in the world, right? And like I said, I've got figures in my network, that I deal with that are all over the place. And that is just an amazing thing. And it's finding those connections where you've got that common, those common things, and you can build out and create so much change in the world. And that's how, like, in 5 years, I took this company from one guy in my garage to being a globally recognized brand that, we've got, The Rock has 8 of our bars, and LeBron plus all the rest of the starting line, they got our stuff at their house, in their trainer's gym. And the NBA makes sure when they're doing the playoffs to buy all their stuff for the teams, because all the teams use all our stuff. And, if that's how do you think that happens? That happens through the connections of people. That's the greatest value that I can bring to an organization, is connecting those dots, both internally and externally.
Yeah, awesome. So, Joe, cue image 9. So let's just give a more formal introduction of Chris before we ask our 3 questions and get to the mindset, the goal setting part of our podcast.
So I want to make the executive decision. We're just going to jump to the mindset thing. It was about 4 minutes left. So, but it's printed out here. So why Chris? So he's built a globally recognized brand in under 5 years, multiple 7+ figure brands in a few years, best-selling author of The Eagle and the Dragon, 20+ years in leadership. He's got the Kabuki Strength brand, the Build Fast Formula brand, the Barefoot brand, is seen on muscle and fitness, men's health, and some other ones. So just an all-around kind of a good guy, where he started from nothing and just built up an organization to where it's at today. So really, I think we should just jump right into, for our audience, can you give just a couple in the next few minutes, just talk about mindset and setting goals, and maybe some what you recommend for people, or how you set, create a mindset and then set goals for it?
Yeah, cue image 11. So
I'm not sure if this is exactly what you want, but before setting goals, I really think I'm going to drive back to that values thing. And the way to do that is, like, look at the things that you want in life or have wanted. Maybe it's the person that wanted to be an NFL player, or maybe it's the mansion that you want, if that's what it is. Like I said, no morality on anything. You really got to ask yourself and start digging into, why do I want these things? And then just keep peeling that back further, a process called the 5 whys. But you may find, like I use the house as an example. It might be security is your driver, or one of your drivers. And if you get in a point of realizing, I wanted that as a driver because it means I'm successful in my life to be able to support my family, and I don't have to worry about the day to day. But if the big house and the car that are the things in front of you, and you don't realize that, you could ever over leverage yourself, get those things that you think you wanted, and actually move further away from the security thing that was a bigger driver for you.
Right.
So again, what is it about maybe being the NFL player? Was it fame? Was it recognition? Was it, that means that you're chasing down big challenges and being successful? Does it you have to keep digging. And once you actually really understand that, now you can see there's so many different ways that you can realize and express those goals. So you really got to start and understand why you want the things that you want. And then you can really start laying out some very good goals. And so that's a big point that I try to drive home to people.
Perfect. Yeah, I think a lot of business owners, when we talked about like the North Star and like long-term goals, don't think 5, 10, 15, 20-year plans. Because when I think long-term goals personally, like 5, 7 years max, maybe the extent of it. But to reach for bigger goals, it is looking forward to like the long term, because you figure out my whys and what I want to do, how I want to impact and everything. And I know in the book toward the end, you have the questions that you ask, and I did the little exercise, like what excites you? What are you passionate about? That helps define like yourself from what you want to achieve. Right. So,
yep.
Yeah.
Then also, I think then would create a mindset for who you are and the things that you want to achieve, correct?
So it's like just thinking out there, you may not actually end up being there, but it's creating the alignment with the actions that you're executing today, next week, next month, so you can cut out the fluff of the things that are non-important. And it's so easy to get lost in the being busy and think that you're accomplishing a lot, and maybe you're doing a lot, but you're not really moving forward on the things that you need to.
Absolutely.
Right. So, Chris, thanks for joining us today. There's a lot. If it fits your schedule sometime in the future, we'd love to have you on again and cover another topic and everything. But before we go, cue image one. Joe, can you give one last plug on our Valor Cares initiative, please?
Sure. So if you're a business owner and you are just looking to have a better built website that represents your company 24/7, then go to our website, valormarketingllc.com/Valor Cares. Submit your information for your business, and then a team of people will be picking 4 winners every single month to give away some websites.
Awesome. But I will ask one last question, Chris. That I always like. It's my favorite question I ask. So here's the book, The Eagle and the Dragon. But what's the best piece of advice you've been given?
It would be from a high school wrestling coach. And it was, make sure you're taking all the small steps. If you do all the tiny things, the big things will fall. Just got to make sure they're the right tiny things.
Right.
Do the things when people aren't looking as well. It's people get so lost. Again, I talked about a lot of big picture stuff, but you actually got to do the work too.
Awesome.
And
Great.
that stuff doesn't happen unless you're nailing those things every day.
Right. Being intentional about the small things. So
Exactly.
awesome. So on behalf of our sponsors, Advanced Septic Services and CR Gutters, my name's Galen.
I'm Joe.
And thanks for Chris Duffin for joining us from the BD Local Studios in Tacoma, Washington. Thanks for watching, guys. See you soon.
Thanks, Chris.